Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Eternal X Wolfpack Paranormal Podcast. And tonight is the kickoff of the new season with episode 1 of season 2025. We had Haunted Souls Paranormal scheduled to come in tonight, and due to the weather, they had to reschedule. So we have new guests tonight, and we have on tonight Miss Susan Victoria Darkwood, and Don Vick is closing up his show right now, and he'll be joining us here in a few minutes. But yes, we will be live, and hopefully we won't have any problems. We've been having some glitches and etc. right now, and hopefully we can stay on for the full hour. So without further ado, I will bring on part of our guest tonight until Don Vick jumps in. I'll bring on Miss Susan Victoria Darkwood. Hello, Susan.
Hello. How's it going?
I'm doing fine. How are you?
Good. Hello, Angelina.
Yeah, we've got Bad to the Bone in the house.
Yes.
And you can hear in the background, Guardian is barking at something. I don't know what it is.
Yep. He needs to be included.
Hopefully he'll stop here. I'd like to thank you for coming on on short notice tonight and helping me out. And hopefully we'll see Mr. Calm down. So hopefully we'll see Mr. Don Vick here in a few minutes as well. So last night, you guys went on your first investigation together at the Murdoch Whitney house.
Yes.
Can you tell us where that is and what's going on there?
So that's in Wissington, Mass. The Historical Society owns it for the town of Wichita. So it's a lot of stories, paranormal activity that goes on there. The one that we mainly connect with is a 7-year-old boy by the name of George that died. I'm not sure if he died in the house. So that's usually the spirit that we usually connect with. So it was interesting.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually broadcasted you guys live last night. I thought it was interesting. I was watching from your camera angle and Victor's camera angle at the same time. Two different things. And I was like, I thought it was really cool.
Yeah, so it was really cool because I went through StreamYard and he went through Facebook. So we tried to, but if you notice, we were like right next to each other the whole time. So Hey Pam.
And then we got
hey Ryan.
Sir Spook. And then we have Miss Pam Harris from Serene Divine on as well. For some reason, the internet is acting a little slow tonight, and we're gonna work around it the best we can. So So that was, like I said, your first investigation with Don Vick.
Yep. So
I got to talk to you. I got to talk to you guys a few minutes before the investigation.
How was that?
And, Don seemed to be a little nervous about the investigation. What do you think?
Hey, Mary, what's going on? Thank you for joining. He was a little nervous. I mean, and I get it. It was his very first investigation. He didn't know what he was getting himself into. So I get it, the reaction that he had. I get it. But once he got going, he felt more comfortable, which was great.
Right. It seemed like he was really starting to get into it there at the end. And like I said, I hope he jumps in here in a few minutes, and etc. Is everybody seeing us all right tonight? Because like I said, for some reason, it's not even showing up on Facebook that we're live. So is everybody seeing us all right? 'Cause we are getting the comments coming in.
On my end, it says that we're live. So.
All right. It's got to be the internet. So, like I said, we're going to try to run it the best we can. And for some reason, it's been acting up for almost the whole week here lately, and I don't know why, but it seems like it's just not me. But a lot of other people have been having some issues with it as well. So, the Murdoch Whitney house. What exactly happened there? Can you tell us about that a little bit? Some of the little bit of the history.
So let me just so I get it. I always have to look at the history to be sure that I get it correct, because it's a lot. Because the historical place is very precise on who tells the history the correct way. So basically, in a nutshell, it's 5 generations occupied the Murdoch Whitney house. Alicia Murdoch. And then there's her husband, which is let's see. I'm sorry. Elisha was actually the husband. Roanna was the wife. And then they had 7-year-old son George that passed away. The house itself was built in the 1850s. Let's see here. And then it was like 5 generations of families that lived there. So, and the place is beautiful. It really is beautiful. I'll make sure if I miss anything out.
Yeah, it did. It looked really cool with some of the displays that they had going on there from what I was watching you guys walk through on the live and etc. It was really cool on how they had it all set up. Mary Jane Wilmsman, a quick hi before I jump into bed. Cheryl, thank you very much.
Hey, Michael. It's good to see you.
Also, Michael. Hello. Welcome to the show. And then we have Susan.
Yeah, Michael. Actually, I want to give a quick shout out to Michael because he makes really great wands and letter openers by hand. He uses whatever wood he could find, but he does amazing work. So yeah, and I actually bought one from him. So you want to check him out.
Yeah.
Hey, Tracy.
Then we have Tracy is in the house. Hello, Tracy. How are you doing tonight? But yeah, so that's awesome. I mean, I think it's great that you are the first one, I have to admit, that actually got done to go out on an investigation, because my former team members and I have been trying to get to go off in the last few years. And you've succeeded, and
I know
that's awesome that you actually.
The funny thing is, so we've been friends for a while, because he's also involved with Pagan, the film that hopefully will make it out for everybody to see, and the production will happen. So we connected a while ago, like while that was all going on, and then he actually reached out to me. And asked me that he wanted to investigate with me. So I was honored. So
that's really cool, because like I said, we've been trying to get him to come down here to Illinois and investigate with us, and he's like, no. And he's like, and that's awesome. He actually got to go out. Like I said, I could tell he was a little nervous, but that's just normal. It is. But I think you got it in his blood now for sure. So
yeah, definitely.
I think he's going to be interested in probably
within
going back.
And the good thing is, like within an hour of us investigating, we came across a sound that we couldn't explain. So he was all excited that it's his first investigation, and he got like something that we couldn't explain. So that was great.
Yeah. Yeah, I was, like I said, I was sitting watching it, and you were going up in that little section where they had the display case, and Don was like a little ways behind you,
Yep.
and he was watching, so I was watching from his camera, and I heard that bang. I heard that go off distinctly, and it was like it was right there on top of you or right next to you.
I know.
Felt.
I almost literally, I don't get scared that much of anything, but I tell you, I almost pissed my pants because it was right next to me, I looked around and actually Victor was more calm than I was. And I'm like, what was that? We looked in the display cases. Everything was in place. We looked to maybe like some glass broke, nothing. Uniforms were all in place. The room next to us was a bathroom where they hang uniforms and stuff, and everything was in place there as well. We, all the doors, all the doors were closed. I mean, we could not explain it. And the woman the historian that let us in was downstairs still, and she heard it from all the way on the first floor. So.
Wow.
And when we asked her,
that is crazy.
When we actually showed her it, she says, you know what? She says a couple of other people actually have experienced that. So I don't know. It was crazy.
Yeah, it is definitely crazy when you are standing there during an investigation and actually have that experience.
Yeah.
Of something banging or something you can't explain or etc. And you walk around the corner, nothing's falling, nothing's out of place or anything like that. And it's just crazy. And you got to sit there and try to debunk what exactly did you hear. And there's nothing to debunk. There's nothing that fell. There's nothing there. So it's hard to explain when, like I said, when you're there and there's nothing there.
Yeah.
We have Miss Lori Braggenhouse. Hello, Lori. And like I said, we're still waiting on Don Vick here. I sent him the link, and we are waiting for him to come join. And to come join the show here. Just send him another message. But yeah, that's awesome. I noticed you were using dowsing rods.
Mm-hmm.
Is that your instrument of choice besides your instinct?
I started using the pendulum as well. The dowsing rods, I have to admit, those are a little bit flimsy, so I do want to get stronger ones. Because there was a point of time that because it was so cold in there at one point. There was a point of time that I actually was shaking. So, so I didn't really, use the dowsing rods for a long period of time. But yeah, I do love to use the dowsing rods and the pendulum. Definitely. Those are my go-to.
Yeah. And I noticed you were getting some responses last night using the pendulum as well.
Yes. Because George.
What do you think about that overall?
Huh?
What do you think about using the pendulum overall?
Well,
do you think it's pretty accurate?
I mean, I believe so. Like I explained, I forgot my stand at home. So typically I would have brought my stand so it could hang. So there's no doubt that whether or not I'm moving it myself or not. So I do like using the pendulum. I mean, we're getting pretty accurate responses. George was present at that time. So that was good. And it was clear as day that it was saying yes or no. So, but yeah, typically I like
using
stand.
Yeah, I've used the pendulum before myself, and it's pretty amazing. You could be sitting there perfectly still, you'd be asking the question, like you said, right or left, or yes or no, depending on which way it starts. And then if you want to say another way, you could say clockwise for yes, negative clockwise, or reverse clockwise for no. I've done that before. And I've seen it actually, like I said, I'm sitting there with my hand perfectly still, and it would literally change another direction. And it will go to the directions you ask, a yes or no question. And I think that's just bizarre when it does it. I also know that has to do with the energy and what's around at the time, and it's forcing it to go the direction it wants to go.
Yeah.
And I've literally almost stopped before and then just go left and right, saying another answer as well. So
yeah, the only thing I had a hard time with was actually the letters around it. I don't know exactly. I've only worked with yes or no. So I actually don't know how to work with the letters around it, like how it actually works. So that's the only thing I wasn't not familiar with, is how to use like the letters around it.
Yeah. I've used it before, and it's interesting, especially like say you got laid out like a Ouija board on top.
Yep.
And it will lay, like I said, when you're sitting there perfectly still, or even you've got the stand for it, it will go to a certain letter, like it would almost point to it, going left, right, and a certain distance, and it would exactly point there. Even though it's swinging, then you got to say, okay, is it going to this letter, which it started to, or it stopped because it'd be at that angle, or if you're actually hanging on to it, it will actually tilt the same way, and I think that's pretty unique as well. A pendulum is pretty unique as well.
Yeah, and that's the reason why, because at one point I thought it was pointing at G, but then it was going back and forth. So that I have to work more with that. Again, I'm mainly like ask the questions yes or no when I'm using it.
Right. This is crazy. It's still not showing up that it's live on Eternal X Wolfpack Paranormal page. I don't know why. And all the links are going up. And it has to be showing up on somewhere, because we have Lori Bragg and we have Miss Pam Harris in the house. So it has to be showing up somewhere.
No, it says it's live. It's not showing up, but like on Facebook, when I pressed onto Eternal X Wolfpack, it says live on your logo. Yeah. So it is live, and it's live on Facebook as well. So
because it's not even showing up live on my logo from my phone here.
Yeah, it's showing up on my part.
And we're waiting for Don Vick to still come out. He must be finishing up with the show, so we're waiting on him as well.
Let's see.
I'm not for sure.
Let's see. Yeah, but I mean, it was very interesting.
Yeah.
Yep, he's signing off.
Yeah. So one of the other things I thought was really interesting as well is that you brought out balls, like a little play ball and a train. Have you ever got reactions out of that?
That was my first time for the train. What I wanted to do is actually, because I still have a lot of my son's toy cars when he was a lot younger. So originally I wanted to bring out a car that, kind of like made a noise, or like had lights going on, that he could easily move it. But I couldn't find one of those. So that was the next thing, was the Thomas one. So that was a new thing that I tried. And the Dixie cups as well was new that I tried. So
yeah, I've never I've never seen the Dixie Cup thing, so that's something I'm going to steal off. I thought that was kind of cool, being able
Well,
to put them on certain little locations.
yeah. Well, the cool thing is, Angelina and I were actually talking about it at our last investigation. So she's the one that, planted the idea in my head. And then I was thinking it has to be a cup that could easily be knocked over, especially when it's a little kid. Originally I was going to use the red ones, but then I was like, no, I'm just going to use the paper Dixie ones. So
hang on just one second.
So I mean, it was an interesting time. If anybody, haven't seen it, be sure to watch it, because I did stream through StreamYard, and Victor streamed through his as well, the Facebook. So yeah, everybody needs to tune in and watch it. It was fun.
There we go. Guardian was tearing up something he shouldn't be tearing up.
Oh.
I kept hearing something in the background that wasn't normal, and I was like, whoa. So I brought him back in here. So he's still a pup. He'll be 2 in March, so he's still got pup.
Yes. Yeah, referring to Michael's comment, he said that we were scared of the mannequins. They had a lot of mannequins there. Let me tell you that I even got scared walking around the corner. It kind of, I knew it was there, but you still forget until you walk around that corner and you see them. Yeah.
Right. I also seen a room that had hands in it.
And what in it?
Had hands on walls sticking out.
The one I showed you. So right before, I think it was a couple of days prior, or maybe it was around Halloween. I can't remember exactly, but they actually did their first Halloween event there. So that was one of the props. They had a lot of volunteers come in and do and be a part of the crew as well. Like they had people dressing up in uniforms, things like that. It was kind of like a Halloween type of haunted house type of thing. So that's where that prop came from, the one with the hands.
I know Don Vic was actually a little scared about the dolls he's seen there too as well.
Yeah.
I know. Our former team members used to always say we were going to send Don Vic a doll, and he said, "No, you're not." He said, "If it shows up here, I'm sending it straight back." So,
that is crazy.
Yeah, we always joke around.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the rooms had dolls in it. A lot of the rooms had dolls in it. It was, yeah.
Yeah. Hello, Raymond.
Hey, Raymond.
But that was definitely interesting. I would have liked to see Don sit in one of those rooms and just with the recorder by himself and see what he possibly could pick up, because when people keep coming back once in a while, I know you've been there a couple times, I think. Mm-hmm. And when you get new people there, you get a different reaction sometimes. And him being new to investigations and stuff,
yeah,
I was curious to the fact if he would have sat in there, if he would have got something different than you guys possibly could have got, being there before.
I mean, at one point he did sit in the doll room. I was right outside, like in that hallway, but he was in there by himself for a short period of time. So,
yeah. And I don't know if you guys noticed, and I mentioned it to you today when we were talking, that at one point, I don't know if it was a reflection or what, but I thought I seen a shadow to your left side before we left one of the doors. and went into another room. I didn't get a chance to go back and watch that clip yet to find out exactly where that was, but I thought it was interesting that it was just kind of standing there when you walk through the door, because I seen it through Don's camera when, like I said, you got a different camera running.
Yeah.
So I was bouncing back and forth, watching the two.
Yeah.
And I thought that was interesting, having two different perspectives, one being you and the lead investigator, then Don having his being the first time. And then you can hear him talking about his experiences when he was kind of going through there a little bit and trying to explain what you were doing. He's like, well, Susan's setting up this, or etc. And watching it from his point of view, I thought that was interesting as well, for being a new person being out on an investigation.
Yeah, I mean,
for sure.
He's definitely a good person. Like, he, presents himself well, and he actually is good at interviewing as well. So yeah, I like the fact that he was going live and telling what's going on and everything. And because it took a little bit longer, we got there around 6, but for some reason we actually didn't start. Victor had the tour because he hasn't been there before. And so we actually didn't start setting up until like 6:45. We were pretty late. So it was great that he went on just to let everybody know what's going on, and for the delay. So, because I was still setting up and everything. So yeah.
Like I said, Victor's. I've been on Victor's show a few times, and been a guest judge as well for some of his shows. He puts on a great talk show. He puts on, a great show in general. He gets down and starts digging with his guests, talking about their experiences and what's going on. He does a good job in there. And I've also seen you on your shows as well. You really get in there and start talking about some of the investigations and how things going and et cetera as well, and ask a lot of questions as well. So what was some of your advice that you gave Don before you started, since it was his first investigation?
So I didn't do the protection chant because it felt really comfortable in there. I've been in there before, but it felt really comfortable in there. So I felt that, plus our spirit guides were already there with us anyway. So we really didn't need it. But what I told Victor is just that, take your time and, just feel comfortable with the questions you ask, and just, go with the flow. And I just did gave him some advice that if he sees something on video or camera, we do have to look into it and see, like with that noise, investigate it, see where it came from, to see if we could find any more, where it came from. He said that he had a lot of orbs, while he was filming me on the floor doing the dowsing rods, etc. And I said, for orbs, it's kind of tricky because you really have to look at it like in a big screen to make sure it's not dust or anything like that. So I did give him a lot of advice, and he did tune in pretty well.
Yeah, I noticed on his camera, like you said, when you have a chance to look at it, because I know I didn't get a chance to go back and look at it yet. Hang on a second. We got Paranormal Rock down in the house. Welcome, guys. Glad you can join us. But a lot of objects I did see when he was talking about orbs, or like you said, it could have been dust, because you guys haven't had a chance to really go in and look at it yet. But he was like, oh, wow. And like I said, for him being a first-time investigator in doing this, he was amazed on some of the things. Because like I said, I seen it coming straight toward his camera. And you could tell in his voice, it's like, whoa. you know, and like I said, you got to go back and check your evidence and
We
stuff
do, because
as
he
well.
actually, yeah, because he actually showed me, and there was actually balls that were like floating like from in back of me and like circling around me. And even another
Mm-hmm.
person said, "Hey, Susan's had those around her the whole night. Even in the bathtub, they were around her." So I have to look back at it. I haven't had a chance to. My equipment's still packed, so I have to look at the video as well, and the audio. So
Right. Like I said, I didn't catch the ones going around the bathtub when we were
mm-hmm.
there, but I did catch the ones that was coming toward Victor. And
Yep.
like I said, I told him I was going to have a chance if I go back, I'm going to rewatch the video myself and just kind of check
Yeah.
it out, because I did see a lot of them come at once, and he was like, "Whoa!"
Mm-hmm.
And that's definitely, I've seen similar things like that before, and like I said, I don't know, me myself, I don't really look into orbs that much,
Mm-hmm.
but I know some people do, and they can decipher them very well, and look into them. And sometimes you actually see, if you magnify them, I've seen orbs that people have shown me that actually have faces in them.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the ones I think are interesting, because they actually
Mm-hmm.
have a face in them when
Mm-hmm.
you're looking at them, even though you can't see them until you actually stop it, look, and magnify it up, that they actually have a face in them. Those are the ones I think are interesting for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
Or the ones that will actually go like they're coming towards you, and then they
Yep.
would actually stop and then just go another direction totally, instead of just coming to you at once. Or they'll change directions on their own, like they're navigating through something. I've seen one of
Mm-hmm.
those happen one time as well. And like I said, those are rare, and definitely very interesting as well, just to be able to see something like that, because dust will not change a pattern and go one direction, stop, and then go another way. It'll
Mm-hmm.
kind of flow, and then it'll just kind of like bounce, here and there, like it's a feather.
Mm-hmm.
But when you actually get it, when it actually comes up to you and actually stops, and then it shifts directions and goes something totally different, and then it stops there, like it's
Mm-hmm.
like somebody walking, almost like their energy, maybe it's possibly their energy standing there, that orb, walking, or they're navigating it. So those are the ones that I find interesting for sure,
Mm-hmm.
without a doubt. We're still waiting for Mr. Don Vick. Hopefully he'll pop on here in a few minutes. So we can ask him about his side of what happened last night, because I know Don, he's full of energy. He'll be ready to go when he pops on here,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
definitely have a lot to say. He's very energetic and very alive, you noticed, and he's pretty cool. So
Yeah.
hopefully he'll be popping on here real quick as well. What actually got you to go investigate that place in the first place, the Murdoch Whitney house?
So I was looking for a place to investigate for the Global Ghost Hunt a couple of years ago, and it's about 45 minutes away from me. So I looked it up, and it looked pretty interesting. Now I would love to live in just like an abandoned, like Victorian or a mansion. I'd love those because they have a lot of history. So I saw it, and I'm like, wow, that would be excellent to investigate. So I connected with the historian there, and then he told me the whole history of it, and that's how I picked to go there. And I went there around Halloween 2 years ago, so it was pretty interesting. but it's comfortable. It's like you walk in, it's a comfortable environment. It's not, anything to be fearful
Right.
of. Very comfortable.
Right. Have you ever been to a place that you ever felt uncomfortable at?
I honestly, the SK Pierce house, it's 50-50 for me. I feel a connection with that house. But I'm still a little bit unsure on who's coming in and who come out, because I'm only known of the one portal that is right where the main staircase is, but I heard that there's like 2 more portals going on now. So I don't know if more portals got opened by error or what's going on there. So it's a little 50-50 to see who's going to come through that place. That's when I do a protection thing.
Yeah. How do you deal with portals in general? Because I mean, I know that we've been on locations before that we've actually closed out portals and mirrors that we found that were hot spots, that spirits would actually come through the mirrors because the clients or the place would have the mirrors facing each other, which creates a portal to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
And how do you deal with that when you come across that?
Unfortunately, like businesses like this, the SK Pierce, they make their money from the place being haunted, so they don't allow us to close a portal, or like, we could help spirits cross over, but we can't necessarily close portals or we can't use Ouija boards there anymore. So there's only so much that you could do, because it is considered a business and they make a lot of money from paranormal investigations, etc. I actually stood in that portal and all I felt was this dizziness. So, I mean, I didn't really feel anything else.
Right. We have Miss Gwen John in the house.
Hey, Gwen.
She is part of All Access TV Network, or television network. She's also been a co-host on my show before.
Nice.
And I'm looking forward to having her back on the show here in the future. And actually, her and her friends will be on next week as well. So,
oh, nice.
That will definitely be an interesting show as well. So, but yeah, it's interesting when you get out into the field, especially like I said, when you have a new person in there as well, like you did with Don Vick, and like I said, I'm hoping to be able to catch him if he happens to pop in here before we go off. I'll extend the show a little bit. I know you're going to have to be going here pretty soon.
Yeah,
and I know you got a busy day tomorrow, so hopefully he'll pop in here before you have to leave. And if not, I guess we'll just have to catch him the next round, because I know he was having a show of his own and was closing his out here a little while ago. And I know sometimes once you get backstage, you get talking a little bit.
Yeah, he's closing it out right now, but we've been saying that now for a time. But he's weird. He loves talking to people,
Yeah, so. Like I said, he does a great show, and he does it for his following and everything else, like I do for mine, and bringing you all the stuff. And like I said, you guys went live last night, and I thought that was awesome. I like watching live. So,
yeah, that was pretty cool. Originally, we weren't going to go live. I was just going to record it through StreamYard. But since Victor really wanted to go live through his Facebook, I said, I might as well go live through StreamYard. I was a little bit concerned because the last time I went there through the Global Ghost Hunt, there were certain areas of the house that it kept on cutting out on. So that was my concern, that it would just cut out and I wouldn't be able to go back in. But it was perfect. It didn't zone out at all the whole time.
Yeah,
the one thing. I mean, the one thing that I wasn't expecting is that it was a different layout than when I went 2 years ago. For example, there's one room off to the foyer that had George's um, rocking horse, and this rocking horse was huge. It was probably like 4 feet or 5 feet tall, if not taller. It was kind of like a monumental, but it was workable. And then a couple more of his toys was around as well. So apparently they brought all his toys, including the rocking house, across the street to the Isaac Moore. And I didn't realize that. Luckily, he still came and connected with us, but and they just did. They moved around some stuff in the living room and a couple of things around as well. So I wasn't prepared for that because when you go in and you expect it to be the same way, now everything's switched around. So, but it was still cool.
Yeah. So, sometimes, once, here's John Vic right now. Sometimes when they start switching things around, that's when you get more activity.
Yeah.
Hang on a second. I'm going to say something real quick, and then we're going to bring Don back on. We'll extend the show for a little while longer. It says, hey, Sean, finally get to see you. It's nice seeing you again, Greg.
Hi, Greg.
I've seen you before. And it's nice that you dropped in on the show. Thank you very much. So we're going to bring Don Vic here. I know, Susan, you're going to have to leave here pretty soon.
Yeah.
I'm going to thank you in advance in case you drop out here for coming in tonight and filling in tonight. And like I said, I know you've got a busy schedule tomorrow, but we're going to sit here. We're going to talk to Don as well. But like I said, if you drop out, I'd like to thank you for coming on the show and talking about your experiences. But feel free to stay here as long as you want, and we'll get you in here as well. So we're going to bring in Don Vic now.
Hey,
Don Vic is in the house.
What's up, fellas? Hi, ladies. Hi, Susan, my queen. How are you? What a night, huh, Susan?
Yes.
I'm still feeling the goosebumps.
And Susan's been having a nice chat here. So now,
I'm sorry.
Now that Don Vic is in. Now that you're in the house here, Don, we get to pick your bones now.
Oh boy!
So, this being your first investigation, and you got to go with Miss Susan, what did you think for your first investigation?
I think I should have stayed home. I think I should have just stayed home. Susan was being a little, bad. She was being a bad girl by showing me a room of nothing but hands. She's like, "Come in here." I'm like, "No, that's not happening." Okay. But overall, it was a great experience. Susan is an amazing person in person. Lovable, caring, and she knows her stuff, so I felt safe. And the funny thing is that when I pulled up, she came out, she gave me a hug, whatever, right? And we talking, and then she goes, "Come out." So let's look at the front of the house, because it's a beautiful house. And so we go there, and the first thing I says to her, I said, "Susan, there's something about that third floor, that thing there." And she's like, "What do you mean?" I said, "I don't know. It's like I feel something from that area." So whatever, we doing our investigation, boom, boom. Then Susan, right? I love it. Because she's the lead investigator. I'm behind her, I'm recording. She's boom, boom. We go into this room, right? And it took everything in my power not to run down the stairs, okay? Because Susan was in front of me. I couldn't push Susan out the way, and I couldn't run back because her friend was behind me. I was stuck in the damn middle, right? And I got my part in my hand at the same time. I'm recording. Susan is talking. She's doing her thing. blah, 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 right? All of a sudden, something goes bang, right? Right beside her.
Yep.
And she's like,
Yep.
what's that? I'm like, what was that? Okay. and I'm like looking at
I
Susan.
did see that.
You seen that, right? So I'm like,
I did.
What just
I
happened?
seen that live when we were following her.
Right.
I seen
So I'm
that
like,
live, that bang right when you were following her, and just like everybody's looking around, it's like nothing's falling. And I was telling Susan earlier, you know, I could just imagine your eyes back there getting like this, like what is going on?
He was actually calm. I almost pissed my pants.
But you don't know, I almost shit in mine, so I was ahead of the game. Okay, I just didn't want to act like a sissy in front of you girls because you know I'm supposed to be looking on Vic. Okay, but I was shitting in my pants. I was ready for you to say, "Let's get out of here," which you never said. Okay, so yeah, okay. I was shitty diapers at that point. Okay, and you know, and her friends behind me talking about, did you hear that noise? Yeah, loud and clear. Okay, and she's looking for stuff. I'm looking for stuff. I'm like, shit, what the hell just happened? You know, and Susan is like, I don't know. Let's see. I'm waiting for her to say, let's pack the stuff and let's get out of here. She's like, no. She's like, no, let's look for what happened or what fell. I'm like, in my head, I'm like, no, let's just pack the shit and get out of here. Okay. So, you know, that happened, whatever. Susan is doing her thing. She goes into the other room like nothing ever happened. Okay. Meanwhile, that's all in my head. Like, what in the world just slammed like that? Through the whole time we was there, that was still in my head. Like, why are we still here? You know, but investigation went well. You know, we toured the house. They gave us a feedback on what happened in the house, which was great. You know, I took some pictures and some videos of everything, like some of the tour, which I posted up. But everything was great. Susan was amazing. She did a great job. She had some of her equipment there, which I thought were amazing to have because I never seen, you know, that type of equipment and what it was for. And you know, we tried to contact with George, you know, and he contacted with Susan. She had I don't know what you call it, Susan, the pendulum. And it was moving and kind of like answering Susan's questions. And that's when I saw some orbs coming out of Susan's, like it seemed like she was throwing them out of her pocket, but she wasn't because her hands were there. So I'm like, what the hell is that? You know? And then some other ones started flying by, like Jim. And I know people say it could be dust, but they were moving too damn fast to be dust. Okay. So it was a great experience, you know, and I'm glad that I went because for me, there were orbs. I don't know what anyone else saw, but I saw orbs and that big bang that today I had my dog sleeping with me last night. You know, I said, you hear anything? Please wake me up.
That was incredible. That bang, because that happened, like not even like an hour into the show.
Not even right after you set up the cameras. And remember, we had went in there first.
Yep.
Remember when we did the tour with the guy, he took us in there, and that never happened. But when you did put up the cameras and you went in there and we started the thing, that's when it was loud.
It was loud. Yeah.
The lady downstairs, she heard it. That's how loud it was. You guys heard it. So that to me was amazing for my first investigation.
Yeah.
You know, so it went well.
Okay, we got a couple comments in here. And Joe West is in the house. I know you just got off an interview with her on your show.
Joe is amazing.
She's in the house right now. Hello, Joe.
Joe's the superstar.
Greg said here, Don, if you had hair, it would have stood straight up. Really, you did do a great job and ask great questions. And then we've got Joe saying, you'll have to wear Depends from now on. And then we got Tim Windsor in the house. Thank you for stopping by, Tim.
Hi, Tim.
But yeah. So when Susan dropped the ball on the floor,
Yeah, she did.
and it
She
rolled and it went up
She
around
dropped a lot of balls that night.
Well, she dropped the ball on the floor and it rolled around. It came over there by your foot, and I sent you a message that said, Don, pick it up and stick it in front of you just in case it starts to move so you can record it, because sometimes you don't see things and all of a sudden things will start moving.
Mhm.
I thought that was actually pretty cool. You know, you picked it up and you actually set it there, and you were kind of keeping an eye on that when she was doing her thing too, so you could see everything from that point of view. And like I said, I was bouncing from your camera to her camera. So
Right.
one of the things when she was doing the pendulum, and did you feel any different energy around for being like first time person on an investigation? Did you feel any different type of energy because of the pendulum, the way it was moving? Because I know that has to deal with energy.
Well, what I noticed in that certain room that Susan was doing when we was investigating, Susan was talking to George, was I noticed I got a cold,
Mhm.
right?
Cold.
I got a cold, but when I was in that room, it was like a tight. It was like my chest was tight. I was breathing hard because even Susan was like, "Why are you breathing like that?" I said, "I don't know, but it only happened in that room where I felt like tight. You know what I mean? Like my chest was tight, my breathing was tight,
Right.
and you know, and it felt like that room, which a little more to me was giving me more of a how can I put it? Like it was more spookier than the other rooms, and it
You were
felt like
being watched or
yes,
something?
yes, I felt like that doll was watching me, and every time, like when we walked out, Susan, I felt like there was eyes on my back, like when you feel somebody watching you. That's what it felt like every time I
Mm-hmm.
walked out that room. I felt like that doll was like on me for some reason. But I couldn't catch her looking at me, because I was going to say, "What are you looking at?" But that's what I felt. But overall, the orbs that were flying all over the place when you was doing the panning thing, and I see them coming from like out of you, like towards the camera, and then from the side of the camera, like a lot of them.
Mhm.
Um, I think that there were spirits there that you was because I remember you saying, George, is there anyone else in here with us? Is there anyone
Mhm.
else? And then them things just started popping out, because while you was talking, you was hearing me say, Susan, I see orbs. I said, what are these orbs?
And you said
You
they're
know,
everywhere.
they're everywhere. Yeah. And so, and that was right after you said, is there anyone, else in here?
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. And the cool thing was as well is we did temperature readings throughout the whole house when we started, and
yes.
that room specifically
Mm-hmm.
was reading about 66 or 67 degrees.
Mhm.
And you actually see it on camera. It dropped down to like 54.
Yeah, 54,
So
57. Yeah, because you were saying that.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. So, so it
We
was a
have a
good.
question here.
Okay.
We have a question here from Pam. So Victor, how would you phrase your first investigation?
How was what? Oh, wait. How would
How would you phrase your first investigation?
that's a good question. Shoot. Um, I it was great, right? It was great. I was excited for the investigation and to meet Susan at the same time. Um, it was a great, it was a great moment. I enjoyed it, and I want to do it again. Um, I want to do it again. Maybe um, uh, we can go next door where the horse was, his
Mhm.
toys, or maybe we can try to find maybe go to like you said to Bridgewater.
To
And
Bridgewater. Yep.
yeah, and investigate there and see what because see now I'm feeling for more of things slamming around me. You know, I'm
How did
looking for
you,
Right.
Victor? How did you feel after you got home? Though, did you feel drained? Did you feel tired?
hey, I slept till like I slept late today. I had calls. I was like, I think I woke up at like 1:30, and I felt I felt tired, like drained out. You know,
Mhm.
I'm more than I did the other day. You know, and because I know I got a cold and I'm sick, but I felt heavy, like really heavy last night when I came home. Like I felt like there was something extra on top of me, like some extra weight.
Mhm.
Uh, but you know, overall, it was great, and I want to thank you, Susan, for taking me out. You're amazing.
Mhm. We've got Angie and Shane McLean in the house. Welcome, guys, and thank you for stopping by
Welcome.
here.
What's up,
And,
Shane?
and let's see here. Let's see here. Pam's got another one here. Says it's a good thing that doll didn't move. Yeah, Don would have been running out of the house full
Oh
bore
yeah,
there.
I would have done it right there. I would have been like, Sue, pack it up. Oh, I'm packing it up. I'm out of here. Okay. Yeah, that would have done it. I don't know if you guys see when I was putting my camera on the doll, like the eyes look so real. That
Mhm.
freaked me out. You know what I mean? It really
Oh
freaked
yeah,
me out. That doll was like, it looked it
that
real.
doll was interesting when I was sitting there watching it when you guys were doing it, and it did. I'm tongue tied. It did stand out like protruding eyes, like it was watching you, even when you were looking at it with the camera. And it was
Yeah.
like, whoa. Did you actually pick up that doll, Don, and actually interact with it or try?
No, that wasn't happening.
that
That was
was
not happening at all. Susan took me to the other room. She's like, Victor, come in here. And I looked, a bunch of hands were hanging out. I was like, I'm not going in there, Susan. I'm not going in there. Next room, please. Thank you. And we went to this other room where she kind of freaked out because it had the mannequins in there.
Mhm.
Yeah, and they were kind of freaky looking too. Um, but you know, overall everything was great. It was a great investigation, and you know, Susan did a great job. And you know, and I'll do it again.
That's awesome. Pam's got another question here. It says, Victor, what are you hoping to get from further investigations? Are you willing to go out for more investigations now, since now you've had your first one under your belt?
Yeah, I mean, it was. You know, I always tell you, Sean, and everyone that I'm intrigued with the paranormal. Right, I love it. I love what you guys do. It's something that I want to investigate more about it. But I'm not a paranormal investigator. My show is different. I don't have a team. I don't have the equipment,
Right.
but I don't mind going out with Suzanne or anyone that's going out, uh, especially after the first time going out with Susan that happened. You know what I mean? So
Mhm.
that's giving me. I want to experience more. You know, maybe not the touching on my body, but maybe sound or or something like that. Or maybe someone pulling on Susan's stuff. You know, her jacket where I can see it, catch it. You know,
Right.
yeah. Stuff like that. Yeah, definitely. I'm willing to see if we can get those type of things happening and catch it live, you know, or maybe even hear a voice. Susan, did you hear anything? Any voice on your boxes? Anything? Did you pick up?
I
I want
haven't
to.
had a chance to check them yet.
Oh, okay.
Um, but yeah, I'll definitely download and see what's going on with all of them.
Yeah, that'll be amazing if you catch something.
Mhm.
Right.
Yeah. So yes, to answer
We got
Pam's question, yes, I would go out
got
again.
another, That's awesome. I'm glad to hear that from you, Victor, because we're definitely going to have to get you down here, or I'm going to come up there with you guys for sure. That's going to be a must. We got Angie and Shane McLean in here. It says, Vic, your video was going in and out on your live last night. I wanted to watch you, and like I said, I knew your batteries died on you, and I did a part 2 for you when I shared it out on my page for you guys, because I know it split up, and I know I was watching Susan's camera there for a while as well, and I kept hers live, and I kept yours live, and your batteries went dead. So then I put up part 2 when you come back of yours, because like I said, Vic's batteries went dead. But I thought that was pretty awesome, that the fact that you got 2 different perspectives, like I was telling Susan earlier. You got her perspective, seeing what she was seeing. You got your perspective, first time investigating with somebody, and you could hear what you were saying when she was doing hers. So I thought that was pretty intriguing, as in the fact you could watch 2 different lives, get 2 different perspectives of what is actually going on. So that was a cool concept. I really like that you guys pulled that off.
Yeah.
So
that
was definitely
because I figured that while she was recording doing her thing, I can be like her backup and see what I see, and ask my questions while she was asking questions on the other room. And I think it worked out pretty well. And we stuck together pretty much through the whole night. While she was recording what she was recording, I was behind her recording her, and showing you guys what I was seeing. So I think it worked out great. And again, I'll do it again. I would like, now I want to go to a spookier place.
Ooh, check them out.
Yeah, a spookier place, because I didn't quite shit on my diapers. Maybe if I did, I would have said, you know what? This was good. This was good enough, Susan. I don't want to go out no more. Oh boy.
Yeah, it's definitely gets interesting the more activities in a location, and the more you pick up in certain locations. But then again, you could go to a location, and we all know this as investigators. You could go to a location and not get one thing the whole night, and you could record everything and etc. Then all of a sudden, you're listening to some of their stuff that you've recorded. You might pick up a faint sound or a faint whisper or a faint talk, but not have a lot of super activity. But then, like I said, you might get a little bit of evidence from there that night. But then there's places you go to, wow, it's like overwhelming sometimes. And I've seen people have to walk out of the investigation, go outside for a while, because the energy is so thick and heavy in there, or the energy around them is just overwhelming. So, yeah, it can change at any time. And like I said, you can go to one location, get a lot of evidence, and go to another and not get very much at all. It happens to all of us that stay true to this field, and I think that's great, because you guys went in, you did what you had to do. You did your experiments, and like I said, played with the ball, did some homework, did some dowsing rod work, and etc., which I thought was pretty awesome. And you got some good responses as well, like I said, from the pendulum as well.
Yeah,
and like I said, that's always a good thing here. We got some more comments here. Let me see what's going on here.
I was hoping somebody would have joined me in the bathtubs.
Oh, the spirits were there. You didn't see that? I hope you wasn't hoping that I was going to jump in there with you, okay? Okay.
We got Andy and Shane McLean here again. Do you have any experiences that made you think twice about what happened? What was your location name again? They were at the Murdoch Whitney house is where they were at last night. And I'll let you answer that. Don, did you have any experiences that made you think twice about what happened?
Well, the sound, that loud sound, that kind of co-signed everything for me. As far as something being there,
Mm-hmm.
I knew from before we went inside that something was there because, like I said, I was talking to Susan and outside when she said, "Come look at the house from the front," and I said, "Susan, there's something about that thing there. Like I feel like an energy," and
Mm-hmm.
that was like the floor that we was in when that thing slammed. Um, so you know, I I I was intrigued by that. Like I was like, okay, we're onto something.
Mm-hmm.
There's something here. And I was hoping, really, like not hoping, but I said, okay, I'm gonna go to the investigation. Nothing might happen, you know. But it did. It did for the first
Mm-hmm.
time, and that was great. And then Susan doing her things with the what do you call them, Susan?
The dowsing
Dowsing
rods.
rods.
Yeah, the rods were
Mm-hmm.
just moving left, moving right, crossing. You know, that was amazing. To see live, in person. Seeing Susan do her thing and seeing those rods move, was amazing to me. You know,
Mhm.
and then the orbs. So to me, it was a successful um investigation. I got what I wanted to see, and I want to do it again.
I think that's great. We Greg on here says, "Rumor happens. You did wet your pants." That's what Greg
Yeah,
said, right?
yeah, we were there. Yep, yep.
And then we got Pam here. She's got another comment. Says, "Watch Greg. He's being a bad influence. We love you, Greg."
Yeah, yeah. Greg been hanging with X-Men and Mr. Raff.
Greg also said, "Did the noise resonate?
Did
Did
you
the
watch the
sound that
show?
you heard did it resonate?"
uh, well, um, to me, I don't, I
Yeah.
don't, I don't. Did it to you, Susan?
Hmm.
I don't think for me it did.
I don't know. It's definitely, corresponding to Shane's next question is we tried everything to debunk that. I mean, I went into the other room. There was nothing on the floor.
Nothing.
Everything on the cases were upright. Nothing fell. There was no broken glass.
Nothing.
Ran around everywhere. The doors were still closed. I mean, it's just we couldn't debunk it.
There was no room for us to miss that
Hmm.
sound. We was right there. I mean, it was literally right behind Susan, like right behind her. The slam, boom, and I said, "Oh God!" And then Susan moved. She looked behind her. I'm looking behind her. Nothing's on the
And
floor.
then Victor was like, "Don't go in that room. Don't go in that room," because I was going in the other room to investigate more. He goes, "Don't go."
I was like, "Don't go in that room. Don't go in that room." There was swords in there. There was all types of stuff in there. So it was definitely something slammed hard. We don't know
Mm,
what it was. It was right next to Susan, like literally right next to her,
yeah.
her back. And if anything would have fell, we would have saw it because it was right in front of us. So we didn't see nothing. There was a glass table with that type of slam. That table would have
Hmm.
broke. That table would have shattered.
Oh yeah.
Uh, if it
Oh
was
yeah. Most
inside,
definitely.
right? If it was inside the glass thing, we would have seen the stuff fall because we was facing it.
Hmm.
Nothing moved. You
Hmm.
know, we looked behind the door. I don't know why we looked behind the door because there was nothing behind the door, but we looked there anyway, and there was
Hmm.
nothing on the floor. So that
Hmm.
just kind of co-signed the fact that something wanted us to know that they were there.
Oh, I definitely agree with that because, like I said, when I was watching you guys walk through there from the video, and all of a sudden that bang out of nowhere, and you guys were looking everywhere for it, you couldn't find anything that would make that noise at that time or anything that had fallen. So, and like I said, you debunked it right there. So
Yeah,
that
I mean,
was a great thing that you guys did that.
yeah, everybody should watch it if they didn't see it because Shane made a comment. Could it be settling of the house? Definitely not. I mean,
No.
this was like literally
Yeah,
it sounded like a gunfire, or it was such a loud noise, that the woman, that the caretaker on the first floor heard it.
She heard it. Yeah.
Yes.
It felt like something fell from high above. Boom. You know, like something slammed, bang. It was like a big bang. And again, Susan was standing in between both glass tables, and then I was next to one of the glass because I was right behind Suzanne, and I heard it. Boom. When I heard it, it felt like it came from behind Susan, and I'm looking right there, and there's nothing falling, there's nothing breaking, there's like nothing literally moving, and it freaked me out. I was like, oh my God, like what was that? So no, that wasn't a sound from any other place. That was like literally right there. And I think my thoughts, my opinion is that they wanted Susan and us to know that their presence was there, because I don't know if we were saying it on there or before there, Susan, when we was like, make a noise if you're here, make some type of noise to let us know, and it did. It just made that.
It did.
You want to know we here? Here you go. Bam.
Yeah, it did. It did. It definitely did. Like I said, when I was watching the video, it was a bang right there in front of all you guys. And like I said, you tried to debunk it, and there was nothing there in any of the around the corner or in the glass case or anything. Because that's one of the things I was asking, if it fell on the glass case or something fall behind, and you guys looked back there and you could tell there was nothing there that would make that racket. So that's awesome. That is definitely awesome and unexplained. Definitely unexplained.
And for those that didn't see it, you can go on my live and watch it.
Yeah.
Right. And I did share it out on my page and my personal page as well. Both of you guys, I did do that for you guys because you guys are my friends, and I will share out everything I am with everybody as well. But that was definitely a great investigation you guys had last night. I definitely watched the whole thing all the way through. There's some spots I'm going to go back and look. Like I said, I pointed out something to Susan she might want to check out. I don't know if it was a reflection of her walking past something, but I'm definitely going to go back and look at it. And if it is, I'm going to stop the video and put it on time, and I'm going to send it to Susan for her to check out if it was definitely something interesting for sure. So that she has that, to look for in her evidence when she goes back and watches this, so she can save it for sure. If it is something worthy. Because, like I said, I seen something to her left right when she walked out of the door, and it looked like a shadow standing there. And like I said, I'll try to go back and I'll even look for it myself. But that was, like I said, you guys did a great job last night, and I thought it was pretty awesome that Mr. Don Vick got his feet wet and got out on an investigation. And we definitely got him getting down here in Illinois and do that. And I know me and I know, Don, me and you got invited to go down to South Carolina with some Bigfoot hunters.
Yes.
And we definitely need to do that. I'd like to go down there at the same time you do, so we could all do it together. I think that would be awesome.
I would love Susan to come.
But
I'd like Suzanne to come for that
Bigfoot. Wow.
Yeah.
But you said you don't like going through the woods.
No, I mean, by myself, Susan. Hello. No, I wouldn't go there by myself, but I'll go there with Sean, because I know I can probably beat him in the race. So if Bigfoot come, he gonna get Sean first before he get me. Okay, so Sean,
I'm not gonna run.
Sean can fight when I go get help. That's the deal.
Oh my God! Everybody wants to join.
I'm-
Pam wants to join. Shane wants to join.
What? Join what?
I'm not.
The investigation.
It's gonna be good. We should all go in the
I'm
group.
not. I'm not
That'll be
gonna.
so dope.
I'm not gonna run, Don. I'm gonna go toward it. I want to find out what's going on. So I'm gonna be the crazy one.
Yeah.
I definitely want
What
to.
did I say to you, Susan, yesterday? I'm Puerto Rican, right? Right. I said, Puerto Rican. You know, I love my Caucasian people, right? But sometimes you can be in certain places at a certain time. You know, bears eat, they kill. Bigfoot, they snatch and kill. You know, I hear noise, I'm out. You hear noise, you want to go check and see what the hell it is. I ain't going over there. Leave it alone.
I'm going to where the sound goes from.
Oh my God!
I'm going to where the sound comes from.
I'm telling
you. God.
I love me some crazy people.
Yeah. Pam made a comment saying it could have been a branch that fallen on the roof. It was not a branch. No. If you were there, literally,
Pam, a brush.
I didn't think it's.
No, that if it was that, we would have heard it on the ceiling, not right next to. It was the bang was right next to Susan.
Yeah, it was right next to me.
Right next to Susan, and I was looking at where the bang was. That's what freaked me out because I heard the bang behind her, thinking something fell, but there was nothing there. And
I thought one of you guys like dropped like your phone or something or some equipment.
Yeah. No, and that wasn't the case. You know, thank you, Pam, but it wasn't a tree branch. Thank you very much.
Yeah, that definitely, even when I was watching it, sounded like it from in that room. So that was definitely something worthy here. Let's see what she's got to say here. Victor needs to go with Sean, me, Lori, and Shane, and Angie to an asylum. Yep, he does. He needs to come down here and run with us, and so does Susan. She needs to come down here with us as well. Like I said, hopefully sometime this year we can all join forces and go to some place together for sure.
Yeah, I think that'll be great. I think we should do 2 trips. I think we should do 2 trips this year. One, we all get together and go to a nice location where everything's active as a group, and we all get to meet each other and, you know, maybe have lunch together and also go investigate. That would be great. And then do the Bigfoot thing with Jim and his son out in North Carolina with Tim.
You mean Tim and Matt? Tim and Matt Dills?
Yes. Yeah, and Dills. We can go. Yeah. That'll be the second trip of the year for everyone. You know what I mean? Yeah. I think that will be great.
Yeah. I plan on going down to South Carolina here sometime, hopefully in March.
Let me know.
Go down there and visit a friend of mine, and I'm definitely looking forward to going meeting with them. So I'm going to do that in March if everything goes well, for sure. And I know Shane's down there in South Carolina also, so hopefully I can meet up with him when I'm down there as well.
Yeah.
So that's definitely for sure. All right, guys, it's been an hour and a half. It's been an hour and a half on the show. I know Susan's got to get up in the morning. Yes. And I do appreciate both you guys coming on at the last minute and on tonight. I know that we had Haunted Souls Paranormal scheduled for the night. And I know they ran some bad weather when they were traveling and they wasn't going to be able to make it tonight. We've got them rescheduled for a spot in February. So like I said, I'd like to thank both you guys for coming on tonight. I appreciate it. And look for their video. I've got it on my Facebook page. I've got it on my personal page. Check it out on Don Vix and also on Susan Victoria's Paranormal Happy Hour as well in her places where she streams. And you can also see it on All Access. Well, no, not that one, but you can see this one on All Access Television Network as well. So, but tonight, like I said, thank you guys for joining. I appreciate it. And to help kick off 2025 with a bang. And hopefully we get to meet up this year and go on an investigation together, because I would definitely look forward to doing that.
Awesome.
So I am going to let you guys go, because like I said, I know Susan's got to go. And like I said, thank you for coming in, guys. And,
All right.
and catch these guys on Facebook and on their pages as well. Don Vic and Paranormal Happy Hour with Susan Victoria. And they're great people. Check them out and watch their shows. They do great interviews as well, and have a great podcast. So I'm going to set you guys backstage. And like I said, thank you again. And I'm going to close out the show. So,
Bye.
Here we go. All righty. That was Don Vic from the Don Vic Show and Miss Susan Victoria from Paranormal Happy Hour. Go check out their pages. Like I said, they do great shows. We also have a comment here from Greg here real quick. He said, great show. Thank you, Greg. Thanks for stopping in, everyone. Also, something to check out. Next week, you don't want to miss this show. We have live serial killers, supernatural, and murderers with Lee Brown, Blaine Ronan, Thomas Patrick Gormley, and Gwen John will be on the show. We will be talking about serial killers and supernatural and murderers. So that's something you definitely don't want to miss. I've watched several of their shows, and they are awesome. And they really dig into details as well. So check them out next week when we will have them live on the Eternal X Wolfpack Paranormal, the podcast. And thank you, everybody, for stopping by tonight, coming in, asking questions as well. And I appreciate everything, and I appreciate all your support as well. Have a great night, everybody, and we will see you next weekend. Have a good night, guys. Bye.